Okay, hello everyone and welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumper from msdynamicsworld.com and we're here for a session looking at what Dynamics 365 means for Dynamics ERP VARs. Judging by the response from our readers to today's event, this is a topic that is of great interest to the channel community and we're happy to be able to bring it to you. I'm joined today by Dave Wallen and Joe Longo of SBS Group as well as Terry Petrzelka of the Petrzelka Group. So as we get started, please know that you can add your feedback. You can ask questions throughout today's event. I know our speakers will be leaving time at the end. You can use the Q&A block that you should see to the right of the main presentation window at any point during the session. And with that, I am going to hand things off to Dave Wallen to get us started. And Dave, let me just make sure your audio is open.
Thanks, Jason. My audio good?
Yes, we hear you now.
Great. Thanks, everybody. First, some background information on our speakers today. Joe Longo is the Chief Operating Officer of SBS Group. Joe began his professional career as a CPA in public accounting and created the firm's technology consulting practice. He then founded his own practice and later became a partner in Business Microsystems as a result of a merger. BMS, which was later acquired by ePartners, installed, implemented, and supported Dynamics SL and GP for over 800 customers. Under Joe's leadership, BMS led the industry in most key performance indicators, including profitability, employee retention, customer service, software sales, and total revenue. Joe joined SBS Group as the Chief Operating Officer in 2008 and has overseen the SBS Master VAR program since its inception. In that time, since 2008, SBS has grown 500% and supports over 3,000 clients across the U.S. and Canada. So say hello, Joe, so everybody can recognize your voice. Joe, you're on mute.
Hello?
Okay. Now you're there. Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks, Joe.
Great. Thanks.
Terry Petrzelka is the president of the Petrzelka Group. He's been a leader in the Dynamics VAR community since entering base in 1987. As the founder and CEO of Tektura, he built that organization from humble beginnings to become one of the world's largest Dynamics resellers. Today, he runs the Petrzelka Group and provides consulting and advice to Microsoft Dynamics VARs interested in growing their businesses. So say hi to everyone, Terry, so they can recognize your voice.
Good day, everybody. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear.
Yep. And again, my name is Dave Wallen, and I will be your moderator. So as we know, Office 365, or Dynamics 365, the launch event is scheduled for October. So to take a moment to review how we got here, it wasn't that long ago that Salesforce really led the SaaS revolution in the business software space, opening the door for cloud ERP and accounting solutions like NetSuite, Intacct, and QuickBooks Online. Microsoft realized they needed to adapt to compete, but stalled in developing and delivering a cohesive strategy or message. On the platform side, however, they did not have those issues, and Office 365 has been an incredible success. When Satya Nadella took over from Steve Ballmer as CEO, he announced his intention to make Microsoft a cloud-first, mobile-first organization. Shortly afterwards, Dynamics was integrated the mainstream of Microsoft development, and we began to see more concrete developments. While CRM Online has been launched as a cloud-first solution with new functionality initially available only online, Microsoft then introduced strong financial incentives to grow the cloud CRM business. We saw the introduction of the CSP program and the addition of Dynamics licensing to that as an option. We recently experienced the launch of AX7 or the new Dynamics AX as an Azure-only solution. Then Project Madeira, which is now integrated with Office 365, re-architected as a true SaaS solution. And finally, at WPC, we received the final wake-up call, the official announcement of the Dynamics 365 branding and licensing models. Joe, you were at WPC, and you attended both the public sessions as well as meetings for beta and early adopter partners. So from the perspective of a Dynamics VAR, what is Dynamics 365?
Well, Dave, it was just a month ago that Dynamics 365 was announced, and let's face it, it is clearly the future, and I believe it will forever change the partner ecosystem. What Microsoft is doing with Dynamics 365, in my opinion, is a great thing. It will provide us as a partner community a clear path forward. It's something that I think was a little fuzzy for a while, and there's no better partner to have than Microsoft when they're focused on something. Microsoft is really laying out the future. It allows us, partners in the ecosystem, to plan and prepare accordingly for the future. Again, hats off to where they're going and how they're laying out those plans. To your direct question, really, of what is Dynamics 365, if you take a look at what Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, says, Dynamics 365 is set to become Microsoft's leading business system of intelligence. So what will that do? Well, it should help organizations move from large application suites to purpose-built applications. It should have intelligence built in. It will come and be completely integrated with Office 365, and it'll fully leverage the Microsoft Cloud. In that new world, there's really going to be two editions. Both will be built on proven ERP and CRM capabilities that we're used to working with. It's the Business Edition and the Enterprise Edition. The Business Edition is really the fusion of Project Madeira, also known as NAV 2017, with the CRM sales and marketing capabilities. The Enterprise Edition really consists of Dynamics AX as well as Dynamics CRM, both applications with massive amounts of functionality. In this new world, clients will no longer purchase modules. Instead, they'll now purchase either apps or plans. Plans will include apps that are related to workloads and their associated business processes. And then in Dynamics 365, an app is really a distinct piece of software that will include ERP functionality like Project Madeira or the sales and marketing capabilities that we currently see in Dynamics CRM. A plan is really a grouping of apps that, when purchased together, can be used without restriction by all users on that plan. So in addition to that and all the typical ERP and CRM functionality that we as partners are used to, Dynamics 365 is going to be experienced, through Office 365. It'll be on Azure, and it'll include native integrations to a layer of tools including Power Apps, Microsoft Flow, Power BI, and Cortana. So really, if you bundle that all together, to summarize, Dynamics 365 is really shaping up to be that modern, end-to-end business solution that Microsoft is really promoting and saying we need in a cloud-first, mobile-first world. So back over to you, Dave. Hope that answers it.
Thanks, Joe. So, Terry, as an advisor to Dynamics Partners, you examine the available information about the service and the programs, and you've identified 5 major things that partners need to know about Dynamics 365.
Well, I guess listening to Joe and the way he kind of brought back 30 days ago, kind of reminded me back when I was playing football at the academy, and my coach had hit me on the side of the helmet and said, hey, it's time to get your head into the game. And on realizing that, it's gone from, we're in a different world today, and it is time to get our head in the game. This kind of slap on the side of the head kind of says, hey, partners, it's not a dream. It's not just some ideas. It's really happening. The Dynamics 365, as Joe called it, convergence or fusion, I call it the confluence of many initiatives that Microsoft has been putting in place in the Dynamics channel, and also marrying the technologies that they've been working on to create an unbelievable opportunity for partners to grab a hold of. And when that came one major announcement, Dynamics 365, and it takes all these things from Office 365, CRM Online, Azure, NAV Managed Platform, CSP, Project Madeira, New AX, and all those things have come together as one thing. And so, as Joe mentioned, there's a tremendous opportunity, and I agree with that. I'm a glass half full guy. But I guess part of my job here today is to really talk about when there's these opportunities, there's also challenges. So the first challenge in my mind here is really the realities of what's going to be happening and what we're going to be experiencing. Yes, there's going to be another platform Microsoft's going to be investing in, and we'll have to invest in, along with the major commitments that they've made to SL, GP, NAV, AX, and CRM. Not all businesses are going to go to the cloud. However, a lot of them will start looking at options to go to the cloud. And so Microsoft does indeed need to have a platform in this space to be able to compete. So over the next 1 to 3 years, we're going to see a lot of activity, a lot of words going on besides the normal platforms we invested in. The Dynamics 365 will be another one of those. I think the thing that's going to make this, and the reason that the Dynamics 365 box is in the shadow here, is I believe the press is going to have a lot of influence on what's partners are going to have to deal with. Any little move, any little announcement, any minor word that's said about Dynamics 365 will be amplified, and will also be amplified by the competitors in this market space. And so partners are going to have to deal with that. It's going to give the image or the feeling, hey, that there's more going on in the Dynamics 365 world. In the investments of Microsoft, in reality, all those are going to have to be invested in. So the field is going to have to be able to deal with this perception and this issue and the realities of there is a new platform, and it's going to, people are going to be questioning, well, should I buy this or should I hold off? Well, there's going to have to be a lot of work done by the partners to deal with that. And Microsoft will be helping with that, but the reality here is something that's going to have to be dealt with. The second item is really dealing with this cloud and the cloud service provider, which Microsoft announced that program. It really is the only mechanism and the way the business is going to be run in the future. It's kind of the new ordering motion that partners are going to have to deal with Microsoft. It exists today with CRM Online, the new AX, Dynamics 365. It already exists for Office 365 and for, as I mentioned, CRM Online. But with this also comes this whole idea of a recurring SaaS revenue model, monthly versus upfront. A lot of people have been dealing with that already. Some probably haven't been. Revenue recognition and how partners deal with that and their ability to finance bank loans and things of that nature, how they're going to be able to recognize revenue, deal with cash management, and then the reality of the changing margin structures that will probably be coming out with this new product offering. I'll be mentioning this several times throughout this talk, but I think there's also a continuing need to figure out there's going to be a continued downward pressure on how to put implementation contracts together, validating or verifying why the cost should be, because it's going to give the appearance here through the provisioning of software through the CSP and this whole thing that, hey, it's really easy to set up and really easy to get online. And so how does a partner now be able to justify implementation costs and things of that nature? So all those things really come, I think, through this whole idea of the CSP and through these marketplaces. It's going to require partners to be agile, fast. I think minimal discoveries are going to have to exist. And all these imply new risks that partners are going to have to put in place, and also new ways of training their teams to be able to deal with that. And differentiating yourself is going to be key. And through this CSP program, how are you going to be able to differentiate if you're going to have to be buying software through a different motion? Which really leads to the next point, which is, hey, we're going to be seeing a whole bunch of new partners come into the ecosystem, Dynamics. There will be marketplaces that are going to be provided by commodity distributors, partners. As you can see from the graphic, there already are advertisements in place in the industry. Businesses such as CDW, Ingram Micro, Best Buy. Yes, it might even be possible here that you'll be seeing Geek Squad's cars driving around being mobile Dynamics 365 help desks. I can also imagine, and I'm probably not too far off from this, but probably the next 12 to 18 months, one will be able to walk in even maybe to Costco and be able to buy Dynamics 365 users. So I think the reality is whoever this distribution channel is going to be and how these CS partners work, partners are going to have to deal with how you differentiate yourself. How do you create that stickiness that you've had before? And through these marketplaces, well, they'll be able to order the software on their own by themselves. How do you end up creating that stickiness? And so I think the message here, yes, there has been, to me, a knock on the head, and all the partners need to wake up and deal with that. Which gets to point number 4. most of us heard maybe sayings from our parents or maybe from our grandparents or whoever it may be. The saying, red sky at the night, sailor delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor take warning. Well, I grew up in the Midwest, and the sailor was actually a substitute of the word farmer. As it turns out in this thing, I think that analogy is really true here, where the red sky is Dynamics 365, and the sailor is the Dynamics partner. For those partners who have already made investments, who have already taken steps to try to get themselves onto a recurring revenue model, selling SaaS, they've already made major steps to get there. And I applaud them for having the foresight and the investment ability to go do that. And that part of the equation, Dynamics 365, is really the Dynamics partner delight, because they've already set up their model, they've already started the investments and things of that nature to be able to stay an active, relevant partner in the future. For those that have not taken the steps to go and get themselves going, it's the second part of that saying, which is Dynamics in the morning, Dynamics 365 in the morning, Dynamics partner take warning. And I think it's not something you need to panic on. However, I do believe it does send a signal here that you're going to have to do something to stay in the game and to stay relevant. Microsoft must require and will want the field to be able to be trained, ready to go, be able to support this new product, which means a whole new way of selling for Dynamics partners and a whole new way of supporting. One just has to step back and look at, and I was one of the original CRM on-premise sellers when we were at Petrzelka, and when we were there, we thought, hey, this is a great thing. But as time goes on and we can see what's happened over since the announcement of CRM Online, the CRM on-premise partners are now either changed their whole model, or they've joined another group, or they don't exist anymore. Because the whole way that whole model worked for CRM Online is really going to be what the Dynamics partner is going to have to deal with Dynamics 365. So that leads me to the final part here, which is really you need to change. There's a relevancy here, and how do we stay relevant? I think the major other issue here is you got to deal with the dynamic with the CSP program. You have options that you're going to have to be able to work with, and however, the reality of your day-to-day and month-to-month work is totally different. But thank goodness I believe Microsoft has given us enough time, and also I believe by this announcement they're giving us and opening up a new market for us to be able to go off and capture. For those that want to make the investment and want to change their business model, it does create a huge opportunity for partners that want to make and take that risk. For those that do not want to take that, then I think the issue is you need to figure out what options you're going to have here to be able to handle the investments, or how to be able to move your business, or partnering with people to be able to make that happen. Dave, if you choose to play, I believe that the options are tremendous here for you. But if you choose not to, you need to really start getting your act in place and what you're going to be able to do and what you're going to do as Microsoft gets ready to announce this product in Q4 of this coming year. So Dave, back to you.
Great, thanks, Terry. So after hearing a lot of those things, Joe, you and the team at SBS and many of the VARs that you work with have made a number of adjustments and investments to position yourselves to be ready to capitalize on Dynamics 365. And you've identified 5 actions that partners need to make to do the same. Can you share these with everyone?
Sure, Dave. There certainly has been some things we've been doing over the years that have, we believe, positioned ourselves for some of this, and some of it, as typical in our industry, you need to figure out as we go along. But, we really look at those 5 key things. The first one is really that you need to be able to transition your business to a reoccurring revenue model. A future in the cloud requires that we adapt to a reoccurring revenue model. It's a requirement, flat out. this model really offers our businesses the opportunity to increase revenue, decrease costs, you can stabilize cash flow, and ultimately you should be able to enhance profitability. It's clear that transitioning to a recurring model has many short and long-term benefits. However, I can tell you going through it, or some of these pieces, and we're still going through it, there's a lot of challenges that we've encountered in this model as well. We had to work through some of these things like, how you engage your customer. The whole customer engagement model changes. Electronic marketplaces, it's the way of the future and it's a necessity. Billing and collection systems and processes change. Order provisioning, how do you electronically provision orders? Those things are all things that you need to be relevant in the future, and which in our case, it took some heavy investment in those items. In the end, we expect the benefits to far outweigh the challenges, but we really had to shift to a reoccurring revenue model. The second thing I would say is really expanding your solutions portfolio. And, to compete effectively, you need to be conversant not only in ERP or CRM, which again in our marketplace will now be Project Madeira, AX, or CRM. But you also need to be conversant in Office 365, Business Intelligence, Cloud, and many of the other tools I mentioned, 10 minutes ago. You're going to need to invest in these tools. Power Apps, Power BI, Flow, Cortana are all going to be integrated into the application now. So, it's a bit of work to understand those and harness that power, but it gives us great value as a partner to be able to help clients with that. If you want to play in the upper mid-market or lower enterprise, look at all the capabilities of AX, as well as all the capabilities of CRM, which we're showing on this slide here. So you've got, a massive amount of functionality that you need to adapt to and learn, and also vertical knowledge. So if you're in the field service business or project service PSA, these are vertical expertise and subject matter that you need to understand. And, throw on top of that the need to understand life cycle services. There's just quite a bit that you need to do to expand your portfolio. If you move to the next slide, Dave, the third item really is differentiation, okay? We as partners need to differentiate. We need to be able to offer vertical and functional domain expertise and IP to create value and then differentiate from a much larger pool of competitors, which, as Terry talked about earlier, is going to be larger and more diverse than what we're used to seeing. Since Dynamics 365 will be sold online through CSP marketplaces, it will be easy for customers to shop around, all right? Those customers that want to shop for the lowest price are going to find it easier to do that. So if you don't offer any value add, then you're going to be forced to compete purely on price. When I look at some of the competition out there, the CDWs, the Best Buys, that's a recipe for disaster if we as partners want to compete with them on price, right? No independent VAR is going to be able to compete with them at the scale these big partners have. The advantage we as ERP partners have is a real understanding of business. We come to the table with knowledge and experience in our marketplaces. And as partners, we need to be able to identify, describe, and be able to communicate really that value add in order that we can have these clients choose to do business with us and pay a premium. Because ultimately, we need to show that value and receive a premium in order for us to maintain a reasonable margin. If you could advance again, Dave. The next thing is really kind of big. We need to market, sell, and deliver digitally. The market for SaaS is very different from the traditional ERP software market in that we Dynamics VARs are used to. From a revenue perspective, there's a double hit. We've got reduced upfront revenue. It's accompanied by lower margins and also less service opportunity because we'll now no longer have the environment installation hours that we're used to. A SaaS model brings with it customer expectations for a faster and less expensive implementation. SaaS is generally sold and managed online. That's the requirements we mentioned before about being able to sell through a marketplace. Again, as I mentioned before, price shopping for customers is going to be easy. if you really have domain expertise in IP, then you're going to still see some downward pressure on service costs just because the market's going that way. Some other things, there's also an added expectation by customers that they can manage their subscriptions online, as well as support training and other services to be delivered that way. So all of this is really going to force partners to undergo some form of digital transformation. And, the extent that each partner decides to do that, each will decide what's best for them, but there will need to be a digital transformation. We need to be able to reduce cost of delivery through the use of development configuration tools. We need to look at other ways of reducing services. For example, in our model, our partner network, we have a resource system that people can share bench resources across the country when they're hitting those valleys and they're not in those peaks. Throw on top of that, cost of sales it just has to be reduced. We can do this by leveraging web properties and digital and video assets, and a much greater focus, I would say, on inside sales versus outside sales, because the sales motions are changing. Or really, I should say the buying motions are changing. Along here, partners will need to reduce the length of the sales cycle to drive more velocity in the pipeline. As I mentioned, revenue is going to be less upfront. We believe in the long run it'll be the same, but less upfront. So, we need to drive more velocity and close more business in order to have the same revenue. So we need to turn our websites and social media properties into a strategic asset, really an advantage to reach prospects who fit our solution, and nowadays may be well beyond our reach geographically. So, this really means hiring deep marketing talent or outsourcing it. You can certainly outsource it to an agency, but somehow or another there's big investment to do that in order to gain the prospects that we need. So, I think that's kind of what I see on the transformation from a marketing and selling and delivering digitally. The last item, Dave, is really around aligning or becoming a CSP, and kind of the first four items we've been doing for some time. Becoming a CSP or aligning with one is something new, and hopefully many of you on the call have started to look into that. But as Terry had said earlier, Dynamics 365 is only going to be sold through a CSP program. So all CSP transactions must be conducted through a CSP marketplace where customers can initiate new subscriptions, add or delete licenses, possibly add and consume services, and also pay for what they consume. Marketplaces are really part of Microsoft's digital transformation. It's going to drive down cost and sales delivery, and it should do the same for us if we take advantage of it. While they are time-consuming and expensive to deploy, I believe marketplaces are linked in a way that will drive down our costs, so that in the back end they can be linked to the publishers like Microsoft and others, and ultimately the provisioning of those licenses can be automated. The bottom line here, if you really just sum it up, is that as a partner we either need to align with or become a CSP in order to continue to be relevant moving forward. So those are the 5 things, Dave. Back over to you.
Great, Joe. So, in essence, your first step, whatever you're going to do, involves how you're going to handle the CSP issue. And Terry, in advising your clients, you've identified like 3 options for VARs who want to seize that opportunity. Terry, you still there?
You're on mute.
Sorry, hit the wrong button. I said Joe's already started covering one of those, which is really to become a Tier 1 CSP themselves. And in order to take that for option, there's a major investment that needs to be placed into hiring, training, transitioning resources that they may have within their business today, or finding new ones to be able to come in and provide that capability. The other thing here is packaging up solutions to be able to take to market, which either means integrating or creating IP to be able to differentiate yourself, or dealing with ISV programs and things of that nature, that ISV programs that need to be brought into your solutions. Requirements for 24/7 support, which some partners have in place, a lot of partners do not, which is also a requirement of being able to be a tier one. You also have to, I think, as Joe mentioned, you have to find a way of differentiating yourself from the new players that are going to be providing these marketplaces in order to compete with the Ingram Micros, the CDWs, the Best Buys, or whoever it might be. All of these take time. They take investment. They take, I guess, vision, future. You have to go through ups and downs. There's good days and bad days. And Joe, I'm sure as you went through your program in bringing the CSP up, maybe relating some of the experiences you had relative to time or investments or resources or things like that, maybe a little bit more on that would be helpful for everybody to maybe hear. I was wondering.
Yeah, sure, Terry. So CSP really drives the necessity for an electronic marketplace. So the two go hand in hand. In the old days where we would bring on a new client, you'd have a license sale and then you have a once-a-year maintenance sale. That really changes when you're billing monthly. And on any given day of the month, you can add or delete users. So there's a lot more complexity to it. So, when we went into it, we thought, oh, this is a pretty simple project. We implement complex systems for people, and obviously the cobbler shoes are always the worst, but we found that out. So here we are 18 months later and probably $200,000 less in the bank. We're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and we're hoping it's not a train, but some of those items that you go through, you've got to build out a client portal and a client marketplace, something tailored to that client as far as SKUs that are relevant. You've got to look at subscriptions and maintenance billing, right? You're no longer dealing with a one-time sale and an annual renewal. So as I mentioned, a user can come in and add 10 users on the 10th of the month, and on the 17th delete 12. So you need to manage all those subscriptions and ads. Automatic and manual provisioning. There's multiple publishers that you want to work with. Some of them have good APIs. Others are really, candidly, a work in progress. So you may need to manually provision things that are bought on your marketplace, or they may automatically be provisioned. I mentioned the APIs. That is certainly what we're finding a work in progress. Most of them are changing monthly. You throw on top of that, you're transacting over the internet. So you've got, as everybody knows nowadays in the news, you've got massive issues around e-commerce and privacy. So that all comes down now to roost at our level. You throw on top of that revenue recognition, because you may bill at a certain interval, subscribe and provision at a different level, and recognize revenue at another level. So you have those issues, and just to button it all up, you got to tie it into your ERP and CRM system. So it was definitely one of those things we underestimated, but bottom line is it's going to be needed to be relevant in the future, and we'll have to deal with the cost of it. So hopefully that helps. Terry, back over to you.
Yeah, it made it. It made everybody probably sit here and say, well, do I really want to get involved in that? If you really want to jump into it and be able to use it as a differentiation of your business. For those that may want to maybe take another route, and to me that's the second option, is really working through the CSP distributor model, in which people such as Ingram Micro, CDW, other people are going to be able to provide a marketplace that partners will be able to align themselves with and be able to place orders through them and get the associated margins that those programs provide or those partners provide. It is an easier way to deal with the ordering motion with Microsoft. However, the reality of some of the things that Joe mentioned before about marketing, differentiating yourself, doing business through this thing, you're going to have to find a way to be able to differentiate yourself from all the other partners that are also using these CSP distributors to be able to say, how are you different from the guy down the street or the gal down the street? So the marketing investment and what you're going to need to do there does not change. It might even be heightened and may even be even more than what's required because you only have your business to leverage, not the CSP program itself. I guess another thing to emphasize here is, and I think Joe mentioned this before, it's the native DNA or the original organic DNA of these partners that are the distributors are really high volume commodity type partners working with selling of technologies and volume. The acumen of business solutions, vertical solutions, financial solutions is really not part of their DNA. Yes, they're going to be able, they'll probably have to have that. However, the reality of them understanding how do I put those solutions together and how do I talk business solutions, how do I put ISV solutions together with platforms to be able to take that and solve business problems is really not something that they've dealt with before. So partners are going to have to figure out how to deal with that, to be able to communicate with this partner, to be able to do things in marketing and positioning themselves here as they move forward. And so I think, to me, that's an option for the partners have and made available. Microsoft has set that up, and they're part of the early adopter programs of Project Madeira. And so getting them involved is a key thing. The last one to me, though, is what I kind of refer to as the natural. For those people that watch sports movies, Robert Redford was a baseball player, and in his time, he was a natural. Well, the Master VAR program back in 2011 was introduced. And it was introduced for a different reason. At that point in time, not for Dynamics 365 or the CSP program or how do I do ordering motions with Microsoft. It was really set up there to be able to allow partners to align themselves with a business partner and leverage the assets of that business partner, and also vice versa, the master to be able to leverage those partners that join them to be able to say 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And to allow the partners who could not invest or didn't have the ability to put marketing programs together, CSP programs together, be able to get all the certifications required at that time was really a natural for I see this thing and this whole program of the CSP and Dynamics 365 fitting into this. It allows those people, and there's master VARs that are established globally that partners can align themselves with if they're CSP certified. And as Joe said, SBS, as they're part of their overall business model, believed it was a requirement for them to have that. And so this is immediately accessible, and I'm sure the other master VARs are going to have similar type things. So having some business partner that you can join that understands business solutions, understands the dynamics of that, is a key thing. So Joe, again, I'm going to bounce it back to you. You are a very successful Master VAR, and you also have started on the journey of the CSP. Kind of maybe talk a little bit more, kind of your vision or what you see about the Master VAR program option.
Yeah, sure, Terry. So you know, Terry, I know you consult with a lot of different partners out there, and in many cases, I know you explain these 3 items. We're certainly partial to the third one, as you mentioned. So, you know, we began our journey 6 years ago in building out our systems and processes in many of the areas, in many different areas, including the 5 that I just touched on earlier. So, you know, the real keys there are, I'll break it down. The first 4 that we talked about, you know, reoccurring revenue model is something that you just don't flip on the switch overnight. You know, we've had a concerted effort for a while now. We moved and created our own private cloud offering, and we've tried to move many of our clients to a subscription type basis for their software as well as their infrastructure. So that you need to dabble in that. You need to get there. It doesn't just happen overnight. There's a lot of issues to deal with. You know, we talking about expanding the solutions portfolio. You know, in our model, any office can go in and they may be the local partner and own the client, but they're sourcing resources from 30 other offices around the country, or 40 if you count outside of the country, to to deliver things either because they're backlogged, right, and they've outsold their capacity, or they don't have a given expertise in a certain area, so they bring that expertise in. I think last year we had over $5 million in cross-office services. To me, that's just accretive revenue that our offices get to realize because, it's like an airline seat. If that day goes by and you had somebody on the bench, you're never going to recoup it. Vertical solutions, we talked about that as well. Many of the offices that come in and join us, partners are ones that have a vertical expertise somewhere, and it's hard to take that and expand it into many different offices across North America, but we're able to do that because of the network. If somebody runs across an opportunity and it's in a certain vertical area, they can reach out to the network and still go in a very credible way. Built with a local presence and vertical expertise to help, so helps win a lot of deals. Marketing's key, right? Marketing's hard enough to do on a local level. At a national level, it's really complicated, and we allocate a good percentage of our revenue to marketing, as well as all the offices do. And in the last few years, we've grown that team to 9 people, and they've got some really deep expertise. You can't be a general marketer anymore. You need to have some capability to really go deep in SEO, or really go deep in content, or really go deep in app development. There's just web app development. So there's a lot of different nuances to that. There's events, there's planning, there's all those type of things. So, just look at this webinar, right? We had an idea, and the marketing team has put it together, and we've got over 400 people attending and 600 registered. So, that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by just getting lucky one time. And then the last thing, so those 4 we've been doing for a while and tuning them. The marketplace, as I mentioned, is relatively new. We thought it was needed, and that everybody will need it. Every partner is going to have to do it to remain relevant over the next decade. And so that's new. I won't go into that. I already talked about that. The one point I didn't bring up, and I probably will or should, is our take on the marketplace is really not to go out there and compete with the big box pushers, right? Our marketplace, I really believe a Dynamics partner marketplace needs to be built by a Dynamics partner. So, we expect the customers that go in and they have a GP or an AX or whatever it may be, they want to know what the 200 ISVs are that work with that product, right? They don't necessarily care about 1,000 different SKUs and ways to buy Office. That's important, and the big guys will have that, right? But they're not going to have the other piece. So, we really believe only a Dynamics partner can create a marketplace for Dynamics partners. So, sorry, I didn't mean to take too long there. I don't know if, Dave, if I kick it to you wrap up, or Terry, if you want to wrap up.
Well, I just wanted to reemphasize that, to summarize your thing, and as I stated, there's 3 options. One is to be the tier 1 and go on the big bet and make it happen, and use it to differentiate yourself, and understand it's going to take time, learnings, and all those type of things here as you go through it. The second one, you do have that available too, and again, you have to learn how to differentiate yourself and realize you're going to be working with a kind of a different culture of a business and a different DNA. And then the third one really is, which Joe, you've summarized very well, which is you do talk about the natural to me, in which a lot of the things you talked about fit into that category, and why the Master VAR is an excellent approach as well. So Dave, over to you.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen. So we've got a lot of questions, and before we move on to those, we've got some options for folks who are ready to start taking action. If you think the SBS Master VAR program may be a fit for your organization and you want to learn more, you can reach out to Joe Longo or visit the SBS website. So on the screen, we've got Joe's email, as well as a link to the partner network section of that website. If you're interested in expert advice at growing your Dynamics business, then there's no better resource than Terry Petrzelka, and his email is on the screen as well. So we're going to take some questions, and thanks to MS Dynamics World says that we can continue past the hour if we've got more questions, or things that if it makes sense, we can go a little over time, not overboard. I think we've gone overboard. So let me move forward, and let me just start answering some questions here. So one here we have, what will be the margins for Dynamics 365? Terry, Joe,
Joe, do you want to jump in on that one, or do you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty simple in that it has not been published yet. It has not been defined. Certainly it was again, in my opinion, a great announcement to let us know it was coming, and the announcement at WPC about Dynamics 365 was a good thing. That being said, I don't know that pricing has been published. I understand it's in the works, and you'll just need to follow up with your Microsoft channel manager on that. The one thing I believe, and this is just my belief, is in a cloud environment, in a SaaS world, it's going to come down, right? You got competitors out there that are offering it for whatever, $75 a month. It will be different, and I gotta believe that it will be less expensive. So, but that's about all I think we can say at this point.
Yeah, Joe, the only thing I'd add on it is mostly, I think you hit it on the head, most of the other platforms that are out there on the ERP, on the being able to sell theirs as software as a service, they're $100 or less, and I'm assuming Microsoft's going to have to fit into that range, and being able to be competitive with the new product. And so I think days of $49, $59, $69 a user, something like that, is not out of the question for entry, and then you got to look at the associated margins with those. So it's going to be an interesting next 60 to 90 days as the pricing models of these things become available to people, to the partners, which I'm assuming here will be toward in the September, October-ish, November timeframe.
Okay, this is one we have there's a lot of inquiries. Will there be a recording available for the presentation? For those who are going to attend live, Jason's been answering these for most of the people, but yes, Microsoft Dynamics World will make this recording available, send a link out to people, and it'll be available on their site. So just kind of hitting something that we've had a lot of inquiries about. Joe, I guess this is probably more Joe, how have you adjusted your delivery model?
Well, the delivery model is ever evolving. So one of the things we have certainly seen pressure on is kind of a fixed scope, fixed timeline with regards to implementation. So you can brand it and market it a couple different ways, but it really comes down to especially in the SMB market, right? The customers want to really want a packaged implementation. So we have certainly experimented with that, and we found some things that work and found some things that didn't work. So we're pretty comfortable where we are with that. But there's going to be a need for some level of a packaged implementation.
Okay, and this is actually kind of related. It said, when shopping for price, when you were speaking about that, are you referring to the implementation work or product?
Well, I believe in an electronic marketplace, everything is up for grabs. So I don't know that implementation services will really be up on marketplaces in the near future. But let's face it, there's people that are trying new stuff every day, right? Uber wasn't here quite a few years ago, and now it is. So I believe at some point everything we do, I think I mentioned this in the transformation, digital transformation. I believe services will be under pressure and available in a marketplace as well.
Yeah, Joe, I'd agree with you. I think here as people start bundling solutions together, they're going to be bundling the services that go along with that specific thing. So I would tend to agree with you as people become more comfortable and get used to how to deliver these systems. So I know other channels do that, and other channel partners do that. So I see it happening.
Okay. I'm actually going to take this one. It's real simple. Somebody asked, will Best Buy be a CSP? And Best Buy is already a CSP. That ad that we showed for Office 365 is a real ad from them They are a CSP solution provider and a major player in providing SMB platform services, and they're certainly going to continue that way. So.
And as a matter of fact, there's a distribution business in Arizona that I know really well that actually uses the Geek Squad for their service support.
Yeah. Okay, what kind of investments do you have to make in marketing?
So, Dave, I'm going to answer this, but then I'm going to put you on the hot seat. So, I will just answer it a lot. And Dave, why I just touched on it lightly, I think, when I was answering the question about some of the different aspects and disciplines within marketing that are needed now, and maybe you touch on those if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. I was trying to stay incognito, but I just introduced myself as moderator. I am the marketing director at SBS. So, what the big difference when you get into a digital competition in general is now you're not just competing with local folks. You're competing with the rest of the world, and you're competing in a marketplace for attention, not only with other VARs and other resellers, but with the publishers themselves in terms of trying to get the audience to your website. So really the biggest difference is then in kind of, moving from traditional and modern digital marketing is the diversity of skills and the need to really be agile in using them. So, you think about your website, first you do have to make changes to your website design from a user experience or user interface point of view and how it looks. It's definitely got to be mobile optimized. Then you've got to decide it then to be optimized for search, and those are two completely different skill sets. And then there's ongoing SEO, and whereas we may think in terms of keywords and metadata, and all of that is necessary. But as Google continues to change things, it's really about backlinks and about constant updating of your content to remain relevant in the search results. So you need someone who knows that, and you need someone who's able to, or you need resources to develop content. You need social media, which is a different discipline. You need more sophisticated lead management. I mean, if you're not using CRM now, you're going to need to, and probably take that next step and do some kind of marketing automation to be able to nurture and do lead segmentation and scoring, and whether that's a person you have, or again, to go with an agency or a tool set. So, I mean, the big difference, that we see in a lot of, small or even actually pretty big VARs is they'll hire a junior mid-level marketing person, and in the old days that worked. You did a few campaigns, you had your salespeople hitting the phones, and you kept enough business going. But with all of the technical knowledge that's needed to compete for attention in the digital world, you've got to find all of it, and whether it's in-house, whether it's agencies, whether it's whatever combination that is. So let me get plenty more questions. Here's some kind of a basic one, clarification. Did you say Business Edition is based on NAV and not AX?
I can take that one. It's actually based on Project Madeira. So that is the Business Edition accounting capabilities. But obviously, the sales and marketing are based on the CRM sales and marketing functionality.
Which segues great into this next question. Does this mean that Project Madeira has been merged into Dynamics 365, or is it two different programs?
Yes, so it has been merged in. It is again, this is my understanding, it is now Dynamics 365, or will be once that is formally brought to market.
Here's one. What happens to traditional GP, SL, et cetera, on-premises customers? What is the long-term vision for them?
Well, from everything I've seen, Microsoft is very committed to continuing to provide development resources to bring those three products forward. So, we've seen, and what's been communicated that we've seen is that Dynamics 365 is really a fourth product line across SMB and enterprise. It is a cloud-only option, but every indication is the other three systems on the SMB side, as well as AXO's on-premise versions, will continue. And I don't work for Microsoft, so you need to talk to them. But boy, I've been very pleased in what I've seen is the understanding that there's a commitment to bring those forward. Because cloud isn't for everybody yet. It may be someday, but right now we've got a nice mix of clients, and Microsoft, everything I've seen is they're very committed to driving all those products forward.
And hey, Dave, I'll just echo again what Joe says. For the last few years, I've been able to spend summers up in the Seattle area and staying in touch with people that are involved in the platform developments. And there's just an increased energy across the whole organization, across all the platforms on development that's going on, from SL through GP, major investments in GP and NAV, and AX. So I don't see any slowdown. I just see it as more money having to be sliced off to be able to go put the Dynamics 365 product out there as one of, as Joe calls it, another platform that they'll be supporting. So, and I agree totally that not all businesses want to go that direction. And so Microsoft, if they want to continue to hold market share and keep market share, they need to capture that as well.
Okay, here's one. What are the requirements for the CSP program?
Well, I guess maybe.
So you can take that one. I think you're more.
I was going to say I've been involved in it, but Joe and you guys had to go through it. All I know is there's a lot of certifications that are required. There's revenue commitments that have to be made. I think the best thing is you can go online at the Microsoft website, the partner website, and go pull down the requirements for that. And in addition to that, your local partner there that you work with should be able to give you guidance and who to talk to. So it's a very simple process as far as understanding step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. However, as you heard Joe, the more you get into it, the more you realize you're going to have to go do. Yes, it's one thing to meet the requirements, but then how you're really going to go use it beyond just for yourself, if that's what you're looking at, how you can wrap other bundled solutions together, things of that nature need to be brought in. So again, I encourage you to go to the Microsoft partner website and pull that information out, and also talk to your partner account manager.
Okay, good. Here's one on Master VAR. We are a small GP reseller located in upstate New York, and since I'm here in the Hudson Valley, I'm glad to be talking upstate New York. Will we be able to keep our existing clients and add new CSP clients through a CSP provider and keep them separate from our existing clients?
I'm not sure I completely, I'll take this one. This is Joe. I'm not sure I completely understand that. So it may be something we should just touch base on offline, but at the end of the day, at least I know the way we've constructed our Master VAR program is that the office who owns the client, right? They have the relationship with that client to move forward. How things are ordered and how they're transacted and what happens within Microsoft systems, I think that is ultimately going to evolve. So I think some of that on the technical side will evolve, and we're not sure how that will evolve yet. But certainly, look, at the end of the day, the client calls somebody, and they look at that person as what we call the partner in charge. So they're the main client contact.
Here's a good one. What do you see, what do you see as the impact on partner-hosted CRM and ERP?
Terry, you want to take that? Or you want me to? Well, hey, look, I'll give you my take, and you can add to it. We have a set of clients, a large set of clients that are on a private cloud environment, and for the foreseeable future, we believe that there will be a set of clients that want their solutions on-prem. There's some that want to put it into a private cloud and take that IT infrastructure costs and get it out of their immediate building. And there's some that fit very, very nicely in pure cloud. I don't personally believe that one model fits everything right now. So for partner hosted, which we call private cloud, I think that's going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Well, I agree with that. There are businesses that are required in order to keep their, if they go to a cloud, to be on a private cloud, and I believe those things, unless rules change and things, I see the hosted businesses definitely being an opportunity to keep whatever you have there for the foreseeable future. And again, if rules change and people see that they can't open it up and go to a public cloud environment, they may evaluate it. But again, if they're set in their ways and understand how well it works for their business and it's fine-tuned, I don't know of any reason other than some price sensitivity that you probably have to deal with in order to stay competitive. So I see it being there for the future.
Terry, I'm going to just supplement that as well. That, the two things that I think over time will affect the client's decision. One is price, right? A public cloud can optimize for price. The other thing is as as Dynamics 365 becomes more capable of tenant-based, individual installation-based customizations and tailorization, that will put more pressure to move from a private cloud to a public cloud. But, that takes time. Dave, what else do we have?
So here's, actually it's probably, kind of related to some of the other things, but probably good to get your take on it. Prospects delay purchase decisions until a new platform is available. Suggestions to pull purchase decisions forward.
Well, knowledge is key here, right? You need to do the research to understand what is in Dynamics 365 and what customer segment it fits. If a prospect fits in that customer segment, it would probably be the right thing to say, hey, you have two options, and one of them is to wait a few months until we see this and evaluate it. But it is, the launch of Dynamics 365 is an initial launch, so I think we all need to take a step back and understand what is there, because you don't want to oversell it. You want to have good installations that are referenceable right from the start, right? So my advice is let's do some research, understand what it is, where it fits, and then do what we normally do, provide the right solution to the prospective client. That'd be my advice. Sorry.
I was going to say I really don't have much more other than say probably the initial release of this thing, and I'm not involved in any of the early adopter programs. So, but from what I hear in conversations that are allowed to be had, I see the entry-level system is where they're focusing. They're staying. Initial thoughts of project material is 50, 100 or so, and now we're talking 300 or less. So in order to do this, I think the functionality feature set that's going to be available on that initial release is going to be low end. So I go with Joe. As you've been modifying or increasing the capability of your partner business to be cloud conversant and how to be able to handle cloud discussions in a meaningful way with clients, you're going to have that same discipline to be able to be Dynamics 365 conversant. And that means all those things that Joe talked about, because that's all going to be part of that release. The idea here is it behoove you on the business intelligence piece and on the CRM piece, all that stuff, you should become ready to start being able to answer that question and add to it the financial engine of the Dynamics 365 with Office 365, be able to have the capability of saying, here's what's here today and here's what the features are, and it's compared to what you need, and also here's what you were looking at, and there's the benefit of going with one, or the benefit of going with the other. So then becoming very conversant in what's technology is going to be, which you all partners normally do. You're just going to need to dive in on another platform and do the same thing on this one.
Here's an interesting one. How do you see the pricing of Dynamics impacting the implementation-related service budgets?
So I will say in a general level, we have seen the expectation from the client is when they're paying less up front for something, they expect to pay less to implement it. That is absolutely what we have found. Now that doesn't make it any easier for us to implement. So kind of back to, how do you template implementations or define scope and those sort of things. But to the question, we are finding that the end client is expecting to spend less on implementations.
And I just reinforced that with the new AX or AX7 when it was released. The partners that are involved in that, there's a tremendous pressure on the front end here because the pricing's different and how that all came about. They're expecting the implementations through the LCS tool to be able to be cheaper as well. Now Microsoft did a great job of putting that tool in place to allow partners to differentiate themselves by using that tool. But it did drive down the cost of implementation, but it also, the clients were expecting that to be the case. So I believe there's going to be a tremendous pressure as this thing gets going and the success starts happening, more pressure on the services piece and what you're going to be able to charge for that, which drives it toward what Joe talked about. The box solutions, implementations of that same fashion are going to be probably what you're going to have to deal with.
Hey, Terry, here's a great question for you. It sounds like we're going to see exponentially more consolidation than we've ever seen over the past few years. It doesn't seem like smaller VARs will be able to survive. Is that too pessimistic of you?
I look at it as to me, if I were a smaller partner, I actually see this as an opportunity. Yeah, and I'm going to say it. There's options here for you to take to be able to go leverage to keep your business and actually expand your business if you have the energy and the interest in doing so. And I don't want to be a salesperson on what these three models that you can probably go align yourself with, but one of those allows tremendous opportunity for small partners, kind of a little bit bigger partners to be able to leverage and to be able to continue their business. If they want to call it a lifestyle business, they can continue that by leveraging somebody in the network that can help them be able to deal with the technology transformation and the motion of ordering and partnering motion that they're going to have to deal with. Now, if I'm a little bit larger partner, I think then you have the dilemma. Do I have to make the investment in the CSP to be a tier one, and then how much am I really going to have to invest to make it viable? And so you're going to have to take a step back and really assess your go-to-market model and how you're going to be able to differentiate yourself across all the other Dynamics partners, because you are going to be also competing against the other CSPs and whatever's going on there in their marketplaces. So there's a big investment equation here, not for the small guys, because I think there's an avenue for them. I think it's the ones that are a little bit larger that are going to have the issue of where do I place my investment dollar and how do I go about dealing with that. And so that's the area that those partners may be looking at. Do I double down and I go do this, or do I double down and go do this, or do I actually find a different mechanism of partnering or joining up or doing some M&A? So I think those are all decisions, and it's all based upon the owner's energy level and the owner's interest of being able to start a new chapter in their business. And because I believe this is going to be a whole new chapter in their business.
Great segue to this next question, which is another great question. Can you give me some examples of successful differentiating by partners, specifically partners focused before and after, and how the change was made?
Okay, change was made. I guess one more time.
Give some examples of a successful differentiation by partners, and I guess the before and after. What?
Well, I think the partners that I guess I'll go. The ones I saw that's done a very good job on there. There's some nav partners that have introduced themselves into a very strong way, into different industries, and you do that by industry focus, and you do that by industry putting solutions together, and you also then be able to provide the technologies here to deliver your solutions to that market space. So I think it's orientation of the market plus getting yourself vertically focused. And to me, that also differentiates yourself from all the other partners or these generalists or the distributors, which are across the board. So I think, to me, you're going to have to say, I want to go own this part of the market. I want to own this industry. I'm going to go after this market segment. And you can look at AX partners that have done that extremely well through the industry programs that Microsoft has, and you can see that also existing with NAV partners and their Solomon partners who have made a tremendous success in project and professional service automation industry focus. So I think it all gets back to, hey, you got to decide. The days of generalism is gone. So you're going to, and all these things are causing you to be able to become niche focused or industry focused. And I think that's the bigger transformation that the general partner needs to deal with. And if they have that issue, then that's where I think they get torn with, if I'm a small guy, I have another mechanism to deal with that. I've already talked about that as one of the options on the CSP program, to how you could continue to do that. If you're that middle segment partner and businesses that are 8 to 12 to $15 million in revenue, those are the ones that are going to have make that tough decision, because and a lot of those, though, have already made the move toward industry. Some of them haven't, and those that haven't are going to have to, in my belief, in order to differentiate themselves like the successful NAV partners have, GP partners have, SL partners have, and AX partners have, and CRM partners have.
Because here's a great question. So how realistic is that a partner with no knowledge or skills with CRM or ERP will actually sell Dynamics 365?
I believe you're going to have everybody. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, if they have no skills, what's it, Dave? No skills in ERP or CRM?
Right.
Well, I'm not sure if they're a Dynamics partner if they have no skills in those two areas.
No, I think he's talking about the platform partners who will have the opportunity to sell this.
Right. Well, look, I firmly believe we as partners, Dynamics partners, are in a good position, right? Because we do have that knowledge. We've been dealing with ERP or CRM in many cases all of our lives, multiple decades, right? So I don't believe that a platform partner is going to come in and be able to have a better conversation with a prospective client than we can. No more so than we would be able to go in and talk about, global security infrastructure, all right? So I think as long as we stay focused and understand our strengths, build the marketing systems and things around that, this is a great opportunity for us. I saw another question come up, I'll feed into that says, hey, is this the death knell for it's a long question, so I'll paraphrase it, for the SMB products, right, the on-prem products, and no, I don't. Cloud is still not the majority of sales, so there's a huge market there that will continue to be tapped, but now Microsoft gets to focus on its dollars where they make sense, right? On-prem, you're probably going to see deeper tailoring and functionality related to industries and things like that. But cloud transformation is certainly going to be on the Dynamics 365 product, would be my assumption. So, from a partner standpoint, things change. For those of us that have been doing this for a while, every 5 to 7 years we get one of these, and this is another one. And I am an optimist. I think we have a great future. I'll be glad to compete against a platform partner anytime in the ERP and CRM space.
But I'll add a cautionary tale. I'm involved in the IMCP, the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners. I was at a meeting 2 nights ago, and I was sitting next to I wouldn't call him pure infrastructure collaboration VAR, who specializes in interior design firms, and he has a strong base of customers in that area. and he joined the Project Madeira Early Adopter Program because he wants to add that he understands his vertical to a T, and in terms of no knowledge of ERP, well, he's going to hire an accountant to do business analysis. He knows the rest of that business, and he understands the business drivers. So where there, as a rule, infrastructure partners don't have that strong vertical knowledge, but there's going to be those out there that do, and they're going to want to make that step. So I don't want to discount that. We shouldn't be overly confident of our ability to outsell every platform partner out there. We have to know that they will get smart and want to move forward too. So yeah, we've still got 200 people here listening to questions.
I don't know that we'll finish all the questions.
No, I'm cherry picking the really good ones.
Hey, Jason, what do you recommend here, Jason?
Well, we can wrap up at any time. We do have a copy of all the questions, so you can certainly follow up after the event today with anything that didn't get answered.
Yeah, I was going to see if there's anything really universal and that we should hit. I think those were all the ones that are probably everybody would want to hear, and we can hit some of these are kind of related to answers we've given. So yeah, I think we've got most of the universal questions done.
Okay. Well, we can wrap it up there. Please do look out for a survey for everyone in the audience that'll pop up after we conclude. It's just an evaluation, and we really would appreciate any feedback you can offer to us about the platform, about the presentation today. It's greatly appreciated. We did record today's event, as we said earlier. We will be sharing a copy of that to everyone who signed up. So with that, well, first let me just say thanks to Dave, Joe, and Terry for presenting today and for sharing your views on everything.
It was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the invitation.
All right, and thanks to everyone in the audience as well for joining us. That concludes today's event. Have a good day, everyone.